And then, yeah, so I get a good sweet so I can cut it off, etc. And then at the end as well, we'll just smile a little bit for a few seconds so I can cut it off there. As you can see, my editing skills are minimal, but the work has to be done.
Sure.
Hi people, welcome to Ajira Study. It's another beautiful day in England. I lie because it's grey, but I'm here in not so sunny Birmingham, and I'm very happy to bring to you another guest on the Mjadala sessions, and his name is Matthew. He'll do all the introductions himself, so we're gonna keep it rolling. So Matthew,
sure.
Over to you.
Well, my name is Matthew Ayibakuro. I'm from Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm from a tribe called Ijo.
Yeah.
But most of you would know it as being from the Niger Delta, which is very popular for oil and underdevelopment and all that. But briefly, that's me.
Okay, that's cool. Grew up in Nigeria all your life and studied there?
All my life. I came over here in 2013 for my PhD, but every other thing.
Doctor. He forgot that. Doctor.
Everything has been from Nigeria, yeah.
Okay.
So secondary, primary, university, law school, all in Nigeria.
Okay, so you studied law, went to law school, and then came to a PhD in the UK.
Exactly.
Oh, perfect. What made you decide you want to do a PhD outside of Nigeria?
Well, the interesting story is why I decided to do a PhD in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wanted to be a corporate lawyer.
Okay.
So I went through uni, taking all the corporate law related courses.
Yeah.
I did start off really well, I think. I got up law school, got a job in a company within a month.
Yeah.
And it was going all well until I read an article about law and development.
Yeah.
And until that point, I just didn't know or an in-depth understanding of how law could aid development. I always felt law was about making order in society and helping corporations and all that, but law is actually very integral to development.
Okay,
and being passionate about development in Africa, when I read through the article, I thought, you know what, this is something I can be passionate about in corporate law. So, in summary, I resigned my position in the company, picked up a lecturership in my university, and 6 months later, I started a PhD to research law and development. Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. It's funny, isn't it? How sometimes you think you're going one way, the whole I'm picking corporate law, etc., and then something strikes you, and as you said, some people might have known that link, or you maybe have heard of it, but it didn't really speak to you or come to the forefront till a particular point. And sometimes that journey is a good thing, isn't it? So you tasted your corporate side of it, and it doesn't do you any harm, but
it didn't.
Once you realize
and I think finding your purpose in life takes different routes
and time.
And some people find it really young, and that's great. Some people find it in midlife.
Some people in their old age.
Or some probably don't even find it.
It's true.
Sadly.
It's true.
Yeah, but for me, I'd always felt like as an African youth, you can't be neutral about the challenge of development. I feel really worried about how Africa is always talked about when it comes to development. It's a burden everybody should share. And when I realized that what I had studied in uni and in law school had a very integral role in development, I just felt this is something I can do for my life and just not lose passion for it. So I had the switch. Never regretted it.
Perfect. Yeah. So we've quickly moved on into your PhD now. The floor is yours. Talk about anything or everything you want to talk about that journey, what you were learning, areas where you could apply directly, some areas where you're thinking about it. Just you're free speech. I'm just throwing it out at you. Pressure.
Well, hope you don't get bored.
No, it's fine.
Talk about it. But in a very simple way, the PhD has been my passion. When I realized and decided I want to do the PhD in law and development, the next question was, what exactly is the most important topic in development in terms of Nigeria and then in the African context? And the first thing that of course jumps to my mind was corruption. Which is a challenge for most people really.
And so big issue in Africa, isn't it?
So I picked up a topic on how to look at how corruption has been dealt with post-independence until date. What are the trends?
Yeah.
And I've looked through that, and perhaps more importantly, I've looked at how there's a new emerging trend of bottom-up approaches to dealing with corruption. Because from when the anti-corruption movement started in the 1990s, it's always been one big message: build strong institutions, build anti-corruption institutions, institutions. And we've done that for over 20 years now.
Build the governance, sort of trying to do the accountability and all that. The cliche words.
I've done that for 20 years. We haven't really gotten that much success, really.
But it's a valid thing.
It is valid. It is valid.
But then it's much deeper, isn't it?
It's much deeper, and there is a lot more to it. And in the last 8 years, a lot of researchers have started saying, you know what, the whole emphasis on institutions, it's important, but we're not getting the results we thought we would have with it. So what are we missing? And the consensus is that actually we need to start looking at more citizen-based approaches to corruption. We need to move the whole anti-corruption agenda away from just institutions to the individuals affected by it. So I have looked at how this trend is shaping up in Sub-Saharan Africa, and what are its prospects, what are its challenges, will they create the difference? We hope it will. And if it won't, what needs to be done? So
that is case studies. Who's the most advanced in the last 8 to 10 years? Well, abysmal.
I'm not trying to blow my country's horn, but
you're allowed. You're allowed, though.
We've seen some very interesting trends like this in Nigeria in the last few years. So we've had young people who have set up very interesting NGOs and set up technology-based mechanisms to deal with corruption. There is one called Budget that has been doing really good work. But overall, we've seen CSOs begin to take a central place, civil society organizations begin to take a central place in tackling corruption, because they've one fundamental fallacy in the whole institution building idea is that everybody talks about governments being corrupt. And then you tell these same governments to build the anti-corruption institutions. And it just doesn't make sense for you to expect that they will build institutions that will put them in prison. So the simple idea is to just invert this whole model and say, put the power in
back to the people,
who can then hold the government accountable. So in this whole structure, what the government needs to do is to create a framework. So passing freedom of information laws, doing a few other things that will create a framework for individuals and organizations to be able to hold government to account.
Makes
so
sense.
We're seeing these trends in Nigeria, in other African countries. So we're hoping that it's going to get stronger as the years go by. So that is my PhD.
I think in Kenya we've seen a lot of the civil society, trying to be active in matters of governance, corruption, being there at least as a voice. I'm not sure what the action backup of it is. It's okay, fine and good to say, oh, they're doing bad, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have the power structure to enact something or to, take them to court within a certain framework, blah, 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 then it's a bit hard. You just become, those guys who are always complaining, holding press conference and complaining. But I've seen a bit of this.
The interesting part of it is that the civil society, the role of civil society in fighting corruption has always been there. But it's always been at the periphery. So the argument is to start moving it a bit to the center, to make them a bit more central to this. And like you said, the challenge is the mechanisms that will let them become that central in the anti-corruption efforts. Recently, it's been a few years now, but in Nigeria, a civil society organization took the government to court for embezzlement of funds in an education institution. And because it was a regional court, which was the ECOWAS court, they were successful, but the government really didn't obey the decision. But these are the kind of trends we're looking at, because
at least it's a step.
It is a step, and it's provided some pointers to how this can be dealt with. And more importantly, perhaps one strong argument for this is that when a public official embezzles funds and he's taken to court and he's successfully prosecuted, the funds go back to the state. But those funds were initially allocated for a certain purpose for the citizens. So the citizens who are the main victims of corruption get nothing. So this whole new trend, this human rights based approach, is basically saying we should also have a mechanism for the people who are the real victims of corruption to get some remedy. If they're able to sue the state official to court, then whatever tuition is given, some of the funds should be able to go back to them for the purpose for which they were.
Oh, it was first there, so it was an education thing. If that school or hospital was supposed to be built, then as soon as the case is won and the
funds should be sent for that.
Immediately make sure have an accountability structure as well to. We went back to the cliches, accountability structure, to then make the funds get used to the right thing. Otherwise, the cycle will just continue. Someone else will find a way to just put it in a pocket where they can siphon it.
Exactly. So those are the things that my research looks at, and it's still emerging. So it's quite interesting.
Good.
We're just hopeful that it's going to create a new perspective, a more effective perspective to dealing with corruption.
So are you looking to be a thought leader in that area, directing people on what to do, or, how are you going to use it on the ground? So I'm assuming you're going back to Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm going back to Nigeria. I'm going back to Nigeria in the next couple of months, within the next couple of months.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to just be an academic talking about this as we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Nigeria and get involved in the whole process.
Okay.
I'm going to start off in academia and just have that background, have the ability to properly x-ray the situation on the ground. But the ultimate objective to be involved in this, because when you research issues like corruption, you understand how entrenched it is in countries, in institutions, and if you have the knowledge and you're not using it to solve the problem, then what's the point of having it, really? So ultimately, I want to be involved in policy. I want to be involved in institutions and mechanisms that will be able to put this into practice and not just end up in a classroom talking about it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds really good.
So that is the plan.
I've been definitely schooled in that session.
Hope it wasn't boring.
No, not at all.
Talks boring. So
well, you're talking about something that affects a lot of people, particularly Africans. So all the young Africans out there, check him out, find out what he's doing, check out the new research. If you're involved in civil society, find out how you can link with that and find the examples where you can learn from it. So say that the case that you talked about, research it, see, can you apply it in your own areas? Can this be applied in Kenya or whoever else this video will reach to? And that way, the growth is all over at the same time. So we don't want to be like one country will slowly start emerging and doing great things whilst the rest are suffering. Particularly with all these communication links now, that the growth should come together.
Exactly.
And is there a link with academics in different parts of Africa on this topic, or you've not thought about that yet, or not just academics and policymakers in this area?
It's a bit of an irony, because corruption is a big topic in Africa.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's hardly any way you go about and talk about development or Africa that the subject of corruption doesn't come up.
Yeah.
But as much as it's been talked about, we've been entrenched in this big general governance agenda, build strong institutions. There are very few alternative ideas that are actually coming up and being recognized. What this approach does, and what I think everybody should be looking at doing, is to say fighting corruption is no longer the duty of the anti-corruption institution established by the government. It's no longer the duty of the police. It's no longer the duty of those that the state have established. Everybody should feel like they have a stake in dealing with this. And whatever way you're going to deal with it, people work in technology and create mechanisms for transparency. If you're a lawyer, how you approach your clients, your cases, if you're a civil society. It's basically talking about empowering individuals. So whereas how it works in one particular context or state may be different from another, the fundamental idea is everybody should feel like they have a stake in this and start to take actions in their own little spaces about this.
And I guess as we're talking about that, it's individual. It's like charity begins at home, so where you are. So if you're got or caught doing something or speeding, are you giving a bribe to get away from it, or are you actually paying the fine or going through the paperwork? I know it can be sometimes annoying where the police just sit you on this roadside for an hour because they're angry you've not maybe given them the little tip or bribe to get away, and you're trying to be this upstanding citizen, but you have that interview in an hour, and you're just like, just take it and go. But it's the small things that then build up that moral fabric.
Exactly.
I think.
Exactly. And another aspect of this is with private entities too.
Yeah.
Anyone who talks about corruption in Africa, or indeed in most other places in the world, you'd find that a lot of the talk about corruption is about state governments, institutions, politicians, but corruption happens in the private sector too.
Definitely.
And especially in the context of Africa, we need to start looking at how people can take action against corruption against private entities. Because if you look at the stats, as much as corruption is a big problem for countries, and we have all these stats about how many billions were embezzled and all that, the kind of monies that were corruptly frittered away from Africa in the past 10 years by private companies, multinational organizations and companies, is actually a lot larger than what is being lost in the public sector. So these are mechanisms that will let individuals to also take action against those private entities, and not just. So it provides that scenario where you can also be able to stand up to private entities who get involved in corruption, and not just with the politicians. So it's having that understanding and having that stake in the whole thing as Africans.
Oh wow. We could clearly be here the whole day, isn't it? We can talk about it. I'm interested in it. I could talk with you the whole day. But that's just a snippet of what Matthew does. Hopefully I'll meet you again. Maybe you'll be back in Niger State or somewhere else in Nigeria, and I'll catch up with what's happening on the ground. I'll keep you accountable with this video. I'll just be sending it every 6 months. How's it going?
As a reminder.
As a reminder, but I'm sure you'll be keeping yourself on the line.
Hopefully. And I hope that you're also going to come to Kenya and do your work sometime soon too.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the challenge. Yes, coming soon.
Yeah, because I feel like...
Thanks for the challenge. But yes.
And I put up the challenge to any young African I've met in the time I've been studying out here, because I feel really worried. I went to the Oxford Africa conference for three years consecutively, and when I see the manner in which Africa is talked about, as young Africans, we cannot afford to not have a stake in this continent. And the change happens right there on the ground. So as much as we connect with the global structure of things and have that perspective, it is my earnest so that we all understand that we cannot be neutral, we cannot take things for granted.
And we cannot wait for others
to come into this. We all have to go there.
No, it's true. No,
and get involved in this.
I've got my game plan.
Sure.
Coming soon.
All right.
We'll keep each other.
But then you're doing good with this already.
Exactly, and it's my little step. It's my little step. So I might not be there physically at the moment, but I'm doing the little I can now.
About it.
Yeah. So and inspiring other people to take up the mantle is part of the journey. So I as an individual can only do say X in my engineering and energy space and etc. But then if more people know and do their little things, as you say, it just accumulates.
Yes, exactly. That's the effect.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So it's been a really wonderful chat, and I really thank you for agreeing to this.
It was fun. It was nice.
It's not that bad. Everybody's scared of the camera, but you forget it's there and you start talking. If you're passionate about what you're saying.
But you get going with the talk and the subject matter, so it's been alright.
Good. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment box, and we'll try and look and answer as much as you can. Engage in the topic and do your own reading and research as well. It's amazing. We'll see you next time. I'm off to have my lunch, I think.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Stop. So yeah. Thank you. That was